Hey y'all, welcome in or welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is breaking up with fast fashion. One of the most difficult things that people report about breaking up with fast fashion is the inconvenience. And this alone stops a lot of people from even kind of going on the journey. And this is something that stopped me as well. And this leads a lot of people to ask the question, including me, where will I shop instead? Before I started my journey of breaking up with fast fashion, I knew about the traditional thrift store, but also online marketplaces like Poshmark and Depop. But neither of these things, for me personally, were really a, a solution where I could go to majority of the time. Both of these entities have their time and place, but there is an inconvenient aspect to both of them. I don't live near any thrift stores, so going to one is always going to be a journey, and that alone has prevented me from shopping the thrift stores previously. But also when it comes to the Depop Poshmark marketplace situation, you can find really great items, and I have found really great items myself. The shirt I'm wearing today I bought on Poshmark. And also, this is a plug for another video. Last year, I made a really fun/funny video where I roasted purchases that I made in 2022. So I made this mid-year 2023, and I was kind of taking a lighthearted approach to what was like a problem that I was experiencing. So I roasted myself, and if you want to hear that roast, you can go watch that video. It'll be linked. Back to the original topic at hand. So if you're anything like me and you wanted to know what are my options out there, this video is for you, because today we're going to be talking about ThredUp and if it can be a tool to help us break up with fast fashion. So the bulk of this video is not actually concerned with like a haul or physical items that I bought from ThredUp. We're going to be showing some pieces in order to demonstrate the kinds of things that you can get. And when I do show pieces, it's mostly going to be in the conversation about quality and how how ThredUp kind of ranks their items and qualifies their items. And we're mostly going to be having this conversation around ThredUp as a service. Who might it be for? Who might not it be for? And we're going to talk about some problems that I have with ThredUp, kind of the shopping experience and the types of rhetoric and marketing that they use as well. So let's get into the video and let's talk about ThredUp as a business first. Who are they? What do they do? ThredUp is, in essence, an online secondhand marketplace, kind of like an online thrift store. They are based in the US and they ship to the US and Canada, and they, well, according to them, have no plans to ship outside of these two regions. So if you are a friend who is outside of US and Canada and you know of a place that offers a similar service, let us know in the comments. ThredUp is a colossal marketplace. They are so freaking huge. And when you first go on that website, the selection is a bit overwhelming. Like before you start filtering for anything, it'll say, 50,000 plus items available. And then once you just start searching for stuff, so much comes up. And so that is a potential downside, that just the sheer quantity of things can perhaps dissuade you from shopping them in the first place. They offer a lot of brands, but what I think that they do best are the brands you'd find at the mall: the Zara, the H&M, the Old Navy, Madewell. And they do have a premium section and a designer section. Their designer has brands like Coach and Gucci, although I do feel like their designer section doesn't have like the traditional like super high end. They kind of have more of like the Coach and the Kate Spade. And Coach and Kate Spade, Coach in specific can have that side of the brand that has outlet stores and sends products to TJ Maxx and Winners, but then they also have the more premium side, things that are featured on the runway and cost thousands of dollars. The more premium brands like Theory and Lululemon, in my opinion, when compared to the regular mall brands, I find that there's less selection, but also the items in these categories tend to be more outdated than in the other regular brands. I noticed this a lot with Lululemon. One of their more popular items, even today, are the scuba hoodies. There was not a single one in any of the sizes that I entered. Of course, there's a revolving kind of door of products. There's new stuff coming in every week. So there's probably something that's going to be at some point. When you compare this selection to Poshmark, there's hundreds of items on Poshmark. Of course, sellers want a premium for their products or what they're selling. So you're not going to get the same kind of price as ThredUp, but the selection for some of the brands and some of the more hot or lucrative items are just not the same. Immediately upon entering the website, you're prompted to put in your sizes. And if you do shop through ThredUp, I would highly recommend doing this. You can put your sizes for I think it's like tops and sweaters. Then there's one for dresses separate for pants and shoes. For any of the categories, you can input multiple sizes because many of us don't wear the exact same size across all brands and all categories. And when you filter in the sizes, it will just kind of keep that permanently on unless you disable it. So if you start searching, let's say stuff on Madewell, or you start searching pink jeans, it'll, filter by your sizes. I do want to mention on sizes that they offer extra small to 5X. They also offer tall, petite, and maternity, but the selection for tall, petite, and maternity are just not the same as the standard sizing. I myself am petite and I filtered through that stuff and didn't really find it helpful. And I just kind of kept to the standard sizing. I did some test filters to see what kind of options were available for plus sizes. So I filtered for 3X for all their clothing categories, and there was just over 8,000 items available. I then filtered for small, and there were over 50,000 items available. So the selection for plus sizing isn't the same as standard or straight sizing. Hey y'all, editing Shauna here. So I went back to ThredUp to get the screenshots for the video. And as you can see, there aren't 7,000 or 8,000 items available. There are over 17,000 items available. And you can see on the left-hand side of the screen that I have filtered for 3X and equivalent sizing for things like the waist and the tops and dresses, 22, 24 is approximately size. I think what happened during the original video was that I had some filter turned on, as in excellent condition maybe, and maybe good condition, and therefore it limited the items. But if you have a general size filter, a new filter for all items, at the moment of filming, there's closer to 15 to 20,000 items than there are 7. So yes, there are fewer, but more than I originally mentioned. Also, just a note that they made it seem like there are more clothes available than there are, because when I just searched for sizes, it was all women, and it had things like handbags in there, which are not size specific. And at that point, it said there's 50,000 items plus. And then when you filter for all clothing, there's 18 or so thousand items. So that was a bit misleading to have that as the standard to kind of bloat the number. And I wanted to make sure I pointed that out too. And since I'm not a plus size person, I don't really feel like my review of their plus size offering really holds a lot of weight. So I'm going to include some reviews from some plus size folks who, you can hear their opinions and thoughts about ThredUp as a service. And I think that's much more valuable than me. I think the best way to shop ThredUp is through their filters. Yes, through the sizing filters to kind of keep your size on at all times, but also in the quality filters. They have a handful of quality options, and I would suggest filtering for excellent and very good. And I'm going to show you some options or some examples of clothing in both categories. I would also highly suggest going onto ThredUp with a wish list. I suggest this because, one, I think this is the most conscious or mindful way to shop, generally speaking, so you don't encounter any situations of finding stuff that you didn't know you wanted, because there's always new things to want. There's always stuff to want. And can be a little bit of a trap to kind of go down that road. And then if you do go down that road and you just search for even like a black top, like there's so many options. So when I'm talking about filtering for stuff, I'm talking about keeping your sizes on, having the excellent and or very good filters on, and then searching for colors or keywords, like, and even by brand, depending on items. I think ThredUp is really great for shopping items that or shopping brands that you are familiar with. And all of this filtering can help you find specific items that you want while also keeping a bit of blinders on from getting overwhelmed. I found a pair of pink denim this way. Pink denim is something that was on my own wish list for spring, and I was able to find like 4 to 5 options, like good quality picks that were in good condition, in a price range, in the color that I wanted, in the style, in the silhouette, in the size that I wanted, which can be hard to do because I was looking for pink denim offline, just like what is out there, and there were way fewer options and they tended to be harder to find and more expensive. On the other, side of things, ThredUp can be good for trying brands that you might have wanted to try, but might be priced out of them new, or you just don't want to shop that brand new. An example that I saw is Everlane. I'm a little bit on the fence about buying new from Everlane at the moment. And some of my favorite pieces of clothing that I own from Everlane are available in like really great condition on ThredUp. The alpaca crew and the cotton textured cardigan are 2 of their best selling pieces, things that I own. Both of those retail for about 170 ish USD, like right now new on their website. On ThredUp, both of those things are under 40 USD, which in like excellent, barely worn condition, which is amazing. So from a budget aspect of things, like when I'm saying this is a great deal, I don't mean buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff. I mean, you can, in some cases, find things you've been looking for at a quarter of the price. I would recommend coming with your measurements to ThredUp. They do waist measurements. They also do garment length, which include like top sweaters and dresses. Some items will have a bust measurement, although not all. And some will also have an inseam measurement. So if you do 4 of those measurements and you come to the website, you'll be prepared for like any item of clothing that you would be wanting to buy. And this is just so helpful to shop generally. I didn't really know my measurements until about the past year, and it's just helped me shop online more efficiently and effectively. So everything that I bought with my measurements in mind, and every single thing that I bought fit, which is incredible. One thing fit a little tighter than I expected, but still fits, still zips, still something that I wear and feel comfortable wearing. So I want to talk about a couple of pieces so we can kind of have a conversation about their quality. So they do have a new with tags filter, and you can filter new with tags, and you can just, shop that way with that filter only if you so choose. I did not, and I kept things to excellent and good condition. An example of something in excellent condition, or that they've marked as excellent, is this Madewell t-shirt. I looked at the measurements. This is an extra, extra small, and I don't typically wear extra, extra small. It looks kind of very small, but there is a wild amount of stretch to it, and it fits more like a small. Of course, like it's a slim fit. So if you don't like that silhouette as it is, then like this wouldn't be for you. Well, I mean, I'm talking like you can buy this, but kind of generally speaking, I like the rib material. There is not a single pill or run, nothing. I've worn it and washed it a handful of times since purchasing it, and it looked and felt brand new. Like, even if there's no pills, when something feels washed, it did not feel washed. This was marked excellent, would agree. This was marked excellent as well. You might have seen this on the channel. I bought this because I was looking for embroidered. I feel like I'm hitting my mic. I'm going to put this down. This was marked as excellent condition, and it came with a tag still attached. I was not expecting that. This had not been washed. So another big win. One thing that ThredUp does not do is show tags or washing instructions. And you also don't get material of items in some cases. So when I was buying some of this stuff, I wasn't totally sure like what the material was and or if I would be able to wash it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And for some product categories like t-shirts, unless I am buying something that like is like a wool or a cashmere, you're just buying something that appears to be regular types of t-shirt materials like cotton or jersey, you can typically wash those. So that's not a really big deal. But when it comes to things like sweaters, that might play a role as to like whether you might want to buy something or not. The worst thing I bought is this. It's this Madewell t-shirt. It said it was in very good condition, and I don't know that you can quite see how poor this t-shirt condition is in. It visibly looks used, and there's armpit marks, like very clear armpit wear. I don't know if it'll come up on camera. There's pilling. It's just not giving very good quality. I would give it maybe good. Like, to me, very good is at least a 7 out of 10. So it also, which you might not be able to tell, has a flutter sleeve, which looks, this just pisses me off. I did not notice the sleeve texture change, or like not the texture. The way that this sleeve is sewn is different. So that is an indication, even if you can't tell in the way it lays, that it's a flutter sleeve, but it kind of maybe not flutter. It does not appear like a regular sleeve on, and I do not like that. The last item that was that I'm going to talk about today are these pink denim pants. These were listed as very good. And there is a run on here. Oh yes, here it is. I don't know. Do you qualify something like this as very good? I'm not too picky on this one because when you look kind of far away and you put it with an outfit, you don't really notice. And to me, I'm not like, oh, I feel like I didn't get my money's worth. The t-shirt is. So in my personal experience, I bought 10 items. 3 things I feel like didn't really match the quality or the description or the quality. Only one I really care about. The other 2 I still wear and enjoy. Where I would be upset would be if I felt like these items weren't wearable. And they are. When they're not wearable, like you buy something and you expect it to look or fit one way, even if it's in good condition. If it doesn't fit how you imagine, or let's say it's a little bit too big, or it's a little bit like fits a little bit snugly in one area, this can affect the longevity of your piece. And the condition that they came and the silhouette or style that they came in is not going to affect the longevity of the piece as it stands today. I've been able to sit on these items for a while, and I feel like that is true because I've been wearing them and I've been totally fine. The other piece is this like beige top. I wore it in 2 videos. My decluttering video as well as influencing is a business video. I don't know if that one will be up yet. If not, it'll be coming up directly after this one. I'll put like screenshots of me in the video if you're curious. That one, the silhouette didn't come as I expected, but I love it on me nonetheless. And I've actually worn it like a handful of times, probably 3 in the month I've owned it. Plus, maybe 4 or 5 actually. I've worn it to like 3 offline nicer events and then twice on camera, 5. And it's just kind of been a really easy go-to piece that like will go with some of the like questionable bottoms that I purchased. That's not from this order, but from previous purchases. And that shirt has really helped get versatility from some of these items. One other shirt kind of came a little bit tighter than I anticipated. I bought a COS shirt and I didn't have experience with that brand. The bust did have, what do you call it? It had the measurements, but I was anticipating a little bit more stretch. So it's fine and it fits and I still wear it. It's just, if I'm ever feeling like insecure about clothes clinging to me, I won't wear it, but I've still worn it probably 4 times and I've owned it for about 5 or 6 weeks now. So, like it's getting its rotation in. Overall, I feel like I've painted a pretty good picture of ThredUp, and there are things I like about ThredUp. I like being able to try brands that I don't have access to, or even brands that aren't as popular on the Canadian websites or, Canadian marketplaces. I've never personally purchased from COS or ThredUp. Madewell is so expensive to ship to Canada, kind of as well as J. Crew. I also appreciate being able to have all of these items that have been ostensibly sent in from just different sellers, but not have to ship them individually or separately, which is kind of what bothers me about Poshmark as well, is you have to pay that shipping fee per item and it starts at $12.99 in Canada. So you have to always factor that into the pricing. And even if I'm paying expensive shipping on ThredUp, it's still cheaper. Like if I buy 2 items on Poshmark, that's the equivalent shipping basically for ThredUp. So we talked about the good things. Now let's talk about what I don't like about them, kind of like as a service or what they're currently doing. I think that it is very easy to overspend on ThredUp. And if we're talking about a group of people who might potentially have shopping problems or have a spending problem, people who really like to shop, you can easily overspend and overshop on ThredUp because they've really structured their website, in my opinion, very similar to fast fashion. The website itself emphasizes deals. You have timers and like tickers going through the website. There are always deals going on, and the discount code that's of the time is usually displayed pretty prominently on the home page or in like the top bar that kind of has like a ticker effect. Sometimes at the bottom, they'll be like, if you've looked at things, it'll show the item and then it'll have like a red slash through it and then the lower price beside it. And then there'll be that ticker, that clock. The language on the website really emphasizes deals on low prices. You have language like as low as $4, starting from $9. All of these things are good for the consumer in order to get, a deal, save money, but it's also really just a sales tactic to increase cart spend and also kind of promote a scarcity mindset. I'm not against the sale as a concept because quite often it's a way for brands to liquidate things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to sell. I guess in general, I'm not against the sale, but what I do have a problem with is when the sales tactics verge on unethical or use behaviors that aren't best for the consumer, where you're trying to entice people to spend more than they want and increase cart spend. That just feels icky to me. Like, it's one thing to be like, we have a sale. It's another thing to combine, there's a sale going on with lots of other tactics to get you to spend more money. In my opinion as well, ThredUp is using this sustainability lens in order to encourage people to shop. Well, not just shop, to spend more money. To me, those two things are a bit antithetical. It's not sustainable to overconsume, no matter like what the item is. Yes, there's a level of benefit where it's more beneficial to overconsume on secondhand purchases, but you as a consumer can spend more than you can afford. So there is the personal effect, but you can also kind of maintain that fast behavior, the constant buy and declutter cycle that is so common in fast fashion because of poor quality clothing, but also this temptation of new stuff and really increasing release cycle. Zara, I think it was in 2022, Zara had 24 new releases or like new collections, which is a new collection every week. So you can have that kind of mindset and behavior that is so common in the fast fashion industry, people who purchase fast fashion and then bring it outside. I also believe that ThredUp promotes impulse purchasing through their use of the cart timer. Their cart timer is 4 hours, and you get a timer beside each individual piece. And so if I put in something at 12 o'clock and then I put something else in 12:30, there will be half an hour discrepancy between each person, and you'll get the countdown beside each thing. And according to longstanding ThredUp customers, this used to be 12 hours, and then it was reduced to 6, and then eventually 4 hours. And the 4 hours really promotes not just 4 hours, but the countdown timer beside your piece promotes the scarcity mindset. It gets to you. Like, somebody's going to buy your piece. If you don't buy it now, it's going to get back on the market. And who might buy your piece? Your piece might be gone. Buy it now. That's exactly what it communicates. Now, most stores outside of ThredUp don't allow you to keep things in your cart for an indefinite period of time. You might get messages like, we can only save your item for 2 hours. Or you might get something like, you can have this for a limited window. Or you might get a notification that your item has been, released into the wild since you've abandoned your cart or whatever, since last time you've checked in. That happens. But that is different. Putting a timer or a finite window of how long something can be in your cart is different than advertising that timer with a countdown beside each piece. It's an extra level of FOMO, of trying to get people, in my opinion, to buy the things now. Why else would you put a timer on a cart if you didn't want somebody to buy that thing now? I do appreciate some of their messaging. Things like, there are already enough awesome clothes on the planet, let's wear them. I love that. But in the same breath, they also encourage users to get rid of their clothes to sell them. They say, feel good about setting your clothes free. And they ultimately encourage or perpetuate the same types of mindset that goes along with fast fashion. Like, we're encouraging people to sell their clothes. We're encouraging people to keep this very cyclical buy and declutter behavior that is prominent in fast fashion purchases, for all the reasons why I mentioned: the trend cycle, the clothes breaking down, and the release cycle. And we're just bringing it into secondhand. I also think that ThredUp gives this false idea of decluttering, like, you're doing a good thing for the environment by decluttering here. Yeah, I do think it's probably better than going to the thrift store, because you have more of concrete evidence that your thing is going to be put in front of another human to give a chance of selling the item. I am truly happy to know that there is a service like ThredUp that you can declutter to if you have things to declutter, but it provides this false sense of comfort, because it's encouraging people to do the things that they've always been doing, instead of to think about their clothes differently at the time of purchase, so we can declutter less. And so our clothes in our closet aren't these revolving doors of new stuff. And so I think that if we are going to have a sustainability lens, it should be at the time of purchase, to encourage people purchasing less. Or when we are making purchases, let's try and build longevity into those pieces that we're buying. To continue decluttering is to continue the types of behavior that we were having before, which is ultimately not sustainable. They have this language and they encourage people to declutter because they make money off of it. They have a vested interest in getting you to sell their clothes to them. They also have a vested interest in you buying these clothes. It really is awesome that they are such an accessible secondhand marketplace. However, if we are not encouraging people to shop differently or think about our clothes differently, then we're really not advocating for the change that's necessary. Now, the last kind of component about what I don't like about their website, or what could be murky territory, is their shipping minimum. So in the US, it's $69 shipping minimum. And on other websites, $69 isn't the highest threshold, but when we're talking about items that are like $6 to $15, you need to buy quite a bit in order to hit that threshold. And the $69 shipping minimum encourages people to increase their cart spend. It incentivizes us to hit it. And when you combine this threshold with the cart timers, with the as low as prices, with the discounts and the tickers and all of this kind of rhetoric and language, it kind of creates this perfect storm to encourage people to fill up their carts. Everything is so cheap, it's so affordable. It encourages people to hit that $70 threshold. As a Canadian, there is no shipping minimum, like you're paying for shipping no matter what. On my items, I paid $30, and then I was also slapped with $39 in duties. So I paid $70 for what I bought. And I did not see shipping prices lower than $25 on the website. So this really becomes a numbers game as well. What am I willing to purchase? Maybe we'll call duties instead of $39. Like, let's say I bought 2 things. Duties aren't going to be $40. They might be like 10 or 15. So it's a bit like, all right, what can I justify an extra $40 in shipping and duties for? Like, what's my threshold here? And ultimately, though, it does become this numbers game of buying more makes more sense. It makes more monetary sense to buy more things. So it also encourages me, or Canadians, to buy more, to justify the shipping. So personally speaking, it's unlikely that I will shop from ThredUp for the rest of 2024, given that I have a self-imposed shopping threshold of number of things. You can watch my No New Clothes challenge if you want to hear about what I think about my quantity of clothes and how I've shopped this year. I have 6 more purchases I'm allowed to make, and I couldn't justify right now buying less than probably 4 things on ThredUp, and I don't think I would want to spend my money that way. So unlikely for me this year. But what is nice to know is that I have this resource at my disposal that I can consult and look at if I ever feel stuck for something. And in the future, if I ever want to shop Everlane and look kind of secondhand, I'm going to check here first, because even with duties and shipping, it is probably going to be worth it. And also because I am somebody who is now well aware of the tactics that ThredUp is using to get me to spend more money, I can be cognizant of them and be like, no, I'm not falling for it. I'm not going to spend, I'm not going to put more things on my cart because they're cheap. I'm still going to wait my whatever 2 to 7 days, depending on the item, before I check out. If it sells out, it sells out. I do think that folks who are interested in transitioning out of shopping fast fashion may find ThredUp to be an enjoyable experience because it feels so much like fast fashion. Because I don't want to advocate this. I don't really like shopping as a hobby, just as a concept. But I can understand if shopping is a hobby for you and you want to switch one thing for another, there's that element. And so I do believe that ThredUp can be a valuable resource for stopping fast fashion if you are aware of how they are going to encourage you to buy and encourage you to increase your cart spend. I think there is room to shop thoughtfully and mindfully, but you have to bring that to the table. I do, however, believe that it can be triggering for many of these reasons. If you're somebody who is going to be enticed to buy things now, impulse spend now with the cart timers, or see sundresses for $4 and want to add 12 to your cart. I don't want to waffle, and I hate waffling, but I do think this is a situation. This is going to be beneficial for some, but also likely detrimental for others. And you need to know where you fall in that spectrum. As for additional resources, for Canada, there is a site called I Love Coop that's kind of similar to ThredUp. They have far fewer items. Their total website has about 7,000 things. Minimum spend for shipping is just over $70, $75 actually, to check. Below that, $12 shipping. They carry double extra small to 4X. And so there is a chance you can find things on there. They also do a clean out kit that's similar to ThredUp. I believe that's $12 to purchase. So I think it could be worth checking out, having it on their radar. Perhaps as they grow and expand, there might be more options, but I like having that in my back pocket as well. For my UK besties, there is Thrift Plus. They currently have 220 so thousand items on their website, free shipping over £50. They also have a clean out kit. There's tons of selection there as well. I mentioned the US, Canada, and the UK because these are resources I could find, but also these are my 3 biggest demographics. If you live inside these regions or outside of them and you have resources, I would love to hear from you. So that is my opinion on ThredUp. And I would like to know what you think of ThredUp if you've used it. Also, if you haven't, would you consider? I'm very curious. This isn't the end-all, be-all kind of review of the service, and this is just kind of my take on this specific angle. So thanks for watching and hanging out with me today. I would love to see you again back around here soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.